Hey up everyone, welcome back to the History of Football channel. Today on the channel I'll be talking about 10 surprising promotions in football history. Sometimes you get clubs that go up and down the divisions as yo-yo clubs. Sometimes you get a big club that comes up and goes back down, but sometimes you get a very surprising promotion where a team gets promoted that you never expected to. It could be a very small team, a team from a provincial area, but today we're going to be talking about 10 surprise promotions in football, so stay tuned for the rest of the video. The first club on the list tonight is Spanish side Extremadura. This club spent the majority of their history in the 4th and 5th divisions of Spanish football. But in the mid-1990s the club reached La Liga for the first ever time, and for a club the size of Extremadura it was a huge achievement. The club had a tough time in La Liga. They only won one match in the first 19 fixtures and were relegated from La Liga at the end of that season. They were promoted from the Segunda Division at the first time of asking under young manager Rafael Benitez. The club's second spell in La Liga ended in relegation as well, as they finished 17th, and by 2002 they dropped from the Segunda Division down to the 3rd division in Spanish football. In the coming years the club suffered financial issues and they were eventually wound up in 2010. Staying in Spain, the next club on this list is Eibar. In the 2013-2014 season, Eibar were promoted to La Liga for the first time in their history. Simultaneously though, the club was threatened with relegation back to the 3rd division of Spanish football after there was issues with their finances. They managed to fix this situation, but in their first ever season in La Liga the club finished 18th. But after the season ended, 13th place Elche were sent to the second tiers of Spanish football as punishment for financial mismanagement, and Eibar were reinstated. Eibar would remain in La Liga until 2021 when they were relegated, which ended a 7-year stay in the top flight. As of 2025, Eibar are the smallest ever team to compete in La Liga. Third club on this list is Corsican side Gazalec Ajaccio. They achieved a shock promotion to League A for the first time in their history, and it was their second consecutive promotion and the 4th in 5 years. Gazalec would start the 2015-2016 League A season as one of the smallest teams to ever compete in the division's history. They were relegated instantly, finishing 19th place. Following their relegation from Ligue A, the club was relegated to the 3rd division, and then they suffered an administrative relegation to the 5th division of French football for financial reasons. Further financial problems would beset the club, and in 2023 they were almost liquidated. Following on from this, Gazalec Ajaccio were suspended from competing by the French Football Federation, but this ban was later uplifted and the club currently compete in the regional Corsican leagues. Heading over to Serie A now, and this club I'm going to be talking about is Treviso. Treviso had never played in Serie A, and they'd always been a club playing in the 3rd or 4th divisions of Italian football, but in 2005 Genoa and Torino were relegated from Serie A respectively for fraud and financial troubles, and Treviso and Ascoli were promoted in Serie A as their replacements. In the 2005-2006 Serie A season, Treviso played their one and only year in Italy's top flight. The club were made to play their home matches in a nearby city of Padua because their home stadium was deemed inadequate by the Italian Football Federation. This was later changed when special legal dispensation was given by the Italian Parliament for Treviso to play at their home ground. Treviso would finish rock bottom of the Serie A table in 2005-2006, but at one stage it looked like they were going to avoid relegation because of the Serie A match fixing scandal, also known as the Calciopoli scandal. Treviso were eventually relegated to Serie B on the 25th of July 2006 when Lazio and Fiorentina's penalties were reduced by the Italian appeals court to just a fine and not to relegation. After suffering relegation from Serie A, Treviso faced severe financial difficulties. The next club on the list is AC Arles Avignon from France. For most of their existence, Arles were a team that played in the 5th or 6th divisions of French football, but then they went on a remarkable rise where they achieved promotion 4 of the following 5 seasons. In 2005, the club was playing in the French 6th division, but by the end of the decade, they were playing in Ligue 1, which stunned many people in France and abroad. In their one and only season in Ligue 1, the club lost their first 8 matches. Arles Avignon were relegated from Ligue 1, having won only just 3 matches across that season, but they did record a shock victory over Lyon. A couple of years after their relegation, in 2015, Arles Avignon were administratively relegated to the 5th division of French football from Ligue 2 after failing to guarantee sufficient capital. The club currently ply their trade in the Mediterranean Regional League in French football, and it's very unlikely that they'll ever return to the top flight ever again. Now we're in England, starting with Barnsley's promotion to the Premier League and the First Division for the first time in their history. This was Barnsley's one and only season in the top flight. They suffered a horrendous defensive record. They conceded 82 goals throughout the season. They did start the season okay, winning 2 out of their first 4 games, but they were virtually in the bottom 3 for most of the Premier League season that they were in there. Barnsley did enjoy some success in the FA Cup. They knocked out Manchester United in the 5th round and made it all the way to the quarter-final. But to many, the promotion of Barnsley was a shock, considering that, they'd never been in the top flight before, and they kind of came from nowhere to be promoted to the Premier League, so it's one of the most surprising promotions in Premier League history. The next club on the list is Swindon Town and their promotion to the Premier League in the early 1990s. 3 years after promotion and then being denied top flight football to financial irregularities, Swindon finally reached the top flight of English football after beating Leicester City 4-3 in the division playoff final. Swindon's time in the Premier League was brief. They had to wait until their 17th game in the Premier League to record a win. They just won 5 matches for the entire year, and they became the first team in the top division to concede 100 league goals in a season. The promotion of Swindon Town to the Premier League is still a shock amongst many people out there, considering the size of the club and the fact that before that they never played in the top division. And since being relegated from the Premier League, the club's bounced between the divisions, and they're currently in League 2, last time I checked. Next we have Blackpool's surprise promotion to the Premier League. In the 2009-2010 Championship season, the club finished 6th, the highest finish in the Football League since 1971. They would defeat Cardiff City 3-2 in the Championship playoff final that year to earn promotion to the Premier League. It was their first time in the top flight for 39 years. Blackpool started brightly in the Premier League, defeating Wigan Athletic 4-0. But as the season progressed, the results got worse for Blackpool and they were relegated from the Premier League after just 1 season in the top division. They did, however, secure memorable victories over Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. Following their relegation from the Premier League, the club struggled on and off the pitch. They had a lot of financial issues and ownership issues. They currently play in League 1, and a return to the Premier League looks very unlikely in the near future. Luton Town's promotion to the Premier League in the early 2020s. Around 10 years prior to being promoted to the Premier League, Luton Town were playing in the National League, the 5th division of English football. In the late 2010s, the club reached the Championship, where they finished 19th and 12th in the following 2 seasons. In the 2021/2022 season, the club reached the playoff semi-final, but the following year they defeated Coventry City 6-5 on penalties after a tense 1-1 draw to secure promotion to the Premier League. The club would struggle in the Premier League initially, having only collected 1 point from their first 5 matches, but won their first match in the Premier League against Everton at Goodison Park, winning 2-1. After a stable first half of the season, the club's form stagnated after January and they won just one game out of 17 matches before being relegated in May 2024. The following season in the Championship, the club would suffer another relegation and find themselves in League One, where they remain to this day. And the last club I'm going to feature on this list today is Hoffenheim in Germany. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Hoffenheim were playing in the 9th division of German football until they were taken over by IT software developer and entrepreneur Dietmar Hopp. With his money and investment, the club rose through the divisions of Germany, and in the 2007-2008 season, it was their first ever year of professional football when they were in the 2nd division of German football. The club would achieve promotion from the 2nd division in Germany and reach the Bundesliga for the first ever time, which shocked a lot of people, considering, as I mentioned earlier, that just over 10 years ago they were playing in the 9th division of German football. In their first season in the Bundesliga, at Christmas time, Hoffenheim surprised everyone by being top of the table before the winter break. After the winter break, the club was unable to maintain their form and they finished 7th on the table in the Bundesliga in their first ever season. The club continued to play in the Bundesliga until this day, and they've become one of the staples of the Bundesliga in Germany. So that concludes my video on the 10 most surprising promotions in football history. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Which clubs have you seen promoted in football where you're shocked by it or surprised by it? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks to everyone that's been tuning in for my videos recently. I've got more coming out in the future. So I'll catch us all later in the next one. Ta-ra for now.